AEW talent are upset with Mercedes Mone. Plus, AEW could be making changes to a title. And speaking of titles, an ex-WWE star is challenging for a TNA title. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. So on Wednesday night on Dynamite TE Big Business, we saw the debut of Mercedes Mone. She is officially All Elite. A few things that were said before that show, however, Andrew, seem to have had a bit of a negative effect with some in the locker room at least.
Yeah. So this comes from the Wrestling Observer, and they report today that comments made by Mercedes Mone in an interview ahead of her AEW debut have, in quotations, rubbed people up the wrong way. Now, Mone was on Kick Rock's podcast and was asked about her status with WWE, to which she said, "I know I'm going to be back there one day. Like I said, I have a lot of unfinished business in a lot of places." Now, the Observer writes, "The people who were skeptical are now more skeptical. In the end, if she's a long-term valuable asset to the company, nobody will remember this statement. If not, however, everyone will remember this statement."
It was admittedly something that washed over me a little bit in all the hullabaloo and the hype around the arrival of Mercedes Mone. And I think a lot of people always ask the question about, will Sasha Banks rise again? And when she said it, we didn't think more of it. But then the more you think about it, actually, when you're going to a new place, it can set the wrong tone.
Definitely.
If you're not careful.
No, agreed. It can set the wrong tone for sure. Obviously, I believe at the point that the podcast went out, it was obviously not officially said that Mercedes was going to be in AEW anyway.
Yeah.
So, things come up. But perhaps you might have thought that she would have skirted around the question at least anyway, given obviously the timing of everything that's happened this week, but yes,
it's one of those where, and a few people have sort of drawn comparison with, say for example, if Cody Rhodes, when he was about to debut at WrestleMania, if in an interview he said, "I will return to AEW one day," and how people would have reacted to that. It's a similar sort of crossover. Obviously, he hasn't said that, but if he was to say that, it'd be interesting to see how the reaction would be. As it stands, as they've said in the Observer today, it'll all depend on what Mercedes Mone does. I genuinely believe that Mercedes Mone is in the right place. I really do. And you never say never to anything in wrestling, but I certainly think going forward, throw yourself into the role that you have now, where I think she could make a real big difference.
And I think she really wants to do that as well. I feel like that's sort of like her MO at the moment, in terms of, we saw her in New Japan for a little while, but obviously with everything that happened with the injury, it felt like we didn't really get, she didn't really get to capitalize on that and really push it as far as perhaps she really wanted to. So hopefully now's the time to do the good things.
And one good thing that she is doing is making some money. So regardless of where she wanted to go, she's making bank in All Elite Wrestling, according to the Observer. They say one WWE woman star noted to us that they were hearing the number was enough to make her the highest paid woman in pro wrestling, and that they were thrilled at AEW for making the offer and happy for her to have accepted it, because in the long run it means it's a better market for the top women wrestlers. They noted, "I think it sets a standard that women should be paid as well. The women do great numbers and have huge social followings." And they also said it was a huge deal for women in the industry who are paid a lot less than men. And it really does change the game when you have figures like that. And this, moving away from the idea of buy rates and ratings and stuff like that, when you break it down, when you've got someone like Mercedes Mone now becoming the highest paid women's wrestler on the planet, by all reports, it means that a high tide raises all ships. You would like to think that some well-deserving types in WWE would also get a kickback to trying to be more competitive in the marketplace. And you know what? If great people are making great money, doing great things, it's great.
It's great. It is great. It really is great. And I think well-deserved too. Because a lot of the main people that you think about in these companies are the people that, the companies themselves are often touting. The women are like there alongside the men in terms of the marketing and everything as well. And I think rightly so, they should be definitely paid fairly for what they bring to the industry and the companies as a whole as well.
And I'd find it astounding that there'd be people online that might be annoyed with Mercedes Mone making all this money. Go make money. I'm sorry, if someone said, here's a bag of money, would you really go, oh no, I don't want that? Or give me something less? No, of course you wouldn't, you idiot. Of course you wouldn't. Good on her. Make bank. Make money, if you will.
Well, there we go. We can't say the redacted one anymore.
We can't, can we? No, we'll get redacted. AEW, meanwhile, making some changes to one of their titles by the looks of things.
Yeah, so it was announced during Ring of Honor TV last night that not only will Athena defend the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship against AEW's Hikaru Shida, but Eddie Kingston will defend the ROH World Championship against Mark Briscoe at Supercard of Honor on Friday, April 5th. So this announcement, along with Eddie defending the AEW Continental Championship against Okada in Toronto next week, seems to point to AEW moving away from Kingston defending all 3 belts at once and instead defending them separately.
Kind of felt like this would be where we would go at some point anyway.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, Eddie Kingston holds the ROH World, the Continental Championship in AEW, and the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship as well.
Yeah.
So I imagine we would get to a point where Eddie would be defending all 3 in different places. And I think something like that could really lean into a great story that you could tell.
Yeah.
Where Eddie Kingston, who has grafted so hard to reach this point in his career, is now defending 3 belts in 3 promotions under 3 disciplines.
Yes.
And you kind of watch as Eddie Kingston, the fighter,
fighting tooth and nail to keep those in his grasp.
But he's just worn out week by week by week defending. And you could really run, and that's a really fascinating story of a guy who's like, I am so tired, but I refuse to let these belts go until someone is worthy enough to beat me. I'm going to keep on going and keep on pushing. And Eddie Kingston is the perfect guy for a story like that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, completely agree. And I'm surprised we haven't necessarily capitalized, or AEW haven't really capitalized on that just yet. You would hope that they would get to that eventually. I get sort of with the Continental stuff, for me at least, it's been a little bit maybe it's just me being idiot smooth brain, but it's been a little bit confusing, a little bit convoluted. Like, this might be a better thing all round for them to then start just defending them separately.
Yeah, it might be.
I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion.
No, I think
I would have liked more of that. This is what you were saying, is him having to defend all 3 at once and just going through these things week by week and defending them and getting really tired to the point where he's like, oh, I don't know if I could do it anymore.
I mean, we're saying all this, but he's defending against Okada on Wednesday.
Yes, yeah.
Which makes me think they might just whack a belt on Okada immediately.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well.
It might be the case. They might just do that. So we might not even get this wonderful story that we've lovingly crafted in the last 2.5 minutes. A grudge match set for NXT Stand and Deliver. He threw down the challenge on Tuesday before giving Lash Legend a big old kiss. It's Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes. It's signed, it's sealed, it's delivered, it's ours. And it'll take place at Stand and Deliver next month. They're just going to knock the bejesus out of each other.
Can't wait for it as well. As we were saying earlier in the week, it's the perfect place for it, isn't it? WrestleMania weekend, going to be a big blow off for them both.
It also confirmed for WrestleMania Saturday's Stand and Deliver, Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin defending the tag titles against yet to be determined opponent, whoever wins that tournament. And Ilya Dragunov putting the NXT title on the line against Tony D'Angelo, providing he gets out of the river in time. He's fine, by the way. He's fine. Meanwhile, in TNA, a former WWE guy who's very much made it his own is challenging for the TNA World title next month as well.
Yes, it was announced on TNA Impact that Nick Nemeth will challenge Moose for the TNA World Championship at Rebellion in April. Nemeth, alongside Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Trent Seven, were laid out by Moose, Brian Myers, and Eddie Edwards at the end of last night's show. So this then also sets up a TNA tag team title match with the System defending against Speedball Mountain. Very nice.
Lovely little setup for Rebellion. Nick Nemeth is the IWGP Global Champion currently.
Yes.
I don't think we see him add a TNA World title to that yet.
I don't think so just yet.
But I'm compelled to see how Moose and Nemeth work together.
I reckon they'll gel well.
Gel well.
Like bread and butter.
That's nice.
There you go.
Both things gel. One's a bit harder than the other.
Yes. I guess so. Stale bread?
Stale bread.
Or hard butter that's been in the fridge for a bit too long.
You've ruined it. You've ruined it all. That's a shame. Hey, speaking of challenging for titles, Cody Rhodes is set to face Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal title, the at WrestleMania on Sunday. A brand new 4-part podcast Cultaholic retrospective drops called Rhodes to WrestleMania. This is where myself, Cultaholic.com's tribal editor-in-chief Aidan Gibbons, and Fraser Porter take a deep dive into the story of Cody Rhodes, from humble beginnings asking his dad at a Waffle House if he can be a wrestler, all the way to the main event of flipping WrestleMania 40. Honestly, if there is a single stone unturned, I would be surprised over the next 4 weeks.
Oh, I'm excited.
Beefy. It is a podcast exclusive, but if you are a Patreon, as a thank you, you can watch the video version on Sunday as well at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And for the very latest wrestling news throughout the day, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Look at us dancing. Nice way to end the video. With a bit of dancing.
Yep.
I'll do the thing. Keys.
Love you, bye.
Dance.